back, everyone, to MatheMagics. I'm Amber, your friendly neighborhood math teacher. Before we dive into today's lesson, let's go ahead and solve those word problems I left you with last time, where we were learning how to choose the correct operation for a word problem. So if you remember, I was asking you not to solve these, but simply just to determine which of the big four math operations we were using: addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. So diving right in, number one, a store has 15 boxes of peaches. Each box contains 45 peaches. How many peaches does the store have? Notice there aren't really many keywords here, but if we're reading the problem closely, we notice we are being asked to find a total amount. So that means we're either using addition or subtraction. If we look a little closer, we'll notice we've got equal amounts here. We've got 15 boxes with an equal amount of 45 peaches each. So using equal amounts means that we want to multiply. In order to solve this problem, we would multiply 15 times 45. For question number two, a gardener works for 14 hours during a week and charges $168. How much does the gardener charge for each hour? Again, first glance, we don't really see any keywords here, but I could actually rephrase this question to say, how much does the gardener charge per hour? And then there's our keyword per, which is letting us know that we are either using multiplication or division. So looking more closely at the problem, this $160 is the total for the week, and I'm trying to break it down into equal amounts of 14 hours. So that means that I want to be able to write correctly, which means I want to divide. Diving right into the lesson now, we're going to be focusing on adding and subtracting whole numbers. A lot of you, this is going to be a review, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there saying, I don't need to know how to do this, I can just use a calculator. Well, there are two very important reasons why I am still going to go over this. The first reason being that you should never ever do anything on a calculator that you do not understand how to do yourself. So you always want to learn it by hand first, then you can go to pushing the buttons on the calculator. And the second reason being, which is connected to the first, that a calculator is only as smart as the person using it. So you really have to be able to understand what you're doing, or you're going to make mistakes when you're pushing those buttons. So let's go ahead and start with addition. Notice this problem is nicely lined up for us and ready to go. All we have to do is add the numbers. We've got 5,351 plus 1,730. Notice the back numbers are lined up. That is the way that all addition problems should be set up, because numbers in the same place value have to go together. And because we're going to add from the right side to the left side. So here we go. 1 plus 0, 1. 5 plus 3, 8. 3 plus 7, 10. So here's one where I have to carry. I put the 0 down at the bottom. The 1 carries over into the next column. And then I have 1 plus 5 plus 1, which gives me 7. My answer is 7,081. Looking at our next addition problem, notice this one is not lined up for us. So that's the first thing that we want to do. We want to rewrite the question vertically. And notice as I'm writing it out that I am lining up my back numbers so that my place values are all in the correct spot. And then again, I start from the right side and move to the left. 9 plus 2 is 11. 1 goes down there. The other one gets carried over into the next column. Now I have 1 plus 1 plus 7, which is 9. 2 plus 8 is 10. 0 goes down here. 1 goes up here. And 1 plus 2 is 3. I get the answer of 3,091. Moving right along into subtraction, notice again this one is all set up for me nicely. My numbers are lined up the way that they're supposed to be. And again, I'm going to subtract starting on the right side, moving to the left. That's really important, especially when you encounter situations where you're going to have to borrow and regroup numbers. We start off with 6 minus 3, which gives us 3. And then here's where we encounter a problem. I cannot do 1 minus 8. So here is where I have to borrow. I'm going to borrow from the 4, turns it into a 3, and then that gives me an extra 1 here, which turns this into an 11. Now I can do 11 minus 8, that gives me another 3. But I have the same problem again. I cannot do 3 minus 9, so I have to borrow from this 2. The 2 becomes a 1, this 3 becomes a 13. Now I do 13 minus 9 is 4. And at this point, 1 minus 1 is 0. I do not have to write the 0 here, so I just finish off with my answer of 433. Another subtraction problem for you. This one is not lined up, so again, I need to rewrite it vertically first, making sure I have everything in the correct spot. My back numbers are lined up, and then I go ahead and get started. 5 minus 9, not possible, so I'm going to borrow from this 6. 6 becomes a 5. 5 becomes a 15. 15 minus 9 is 6. Next, 5 minus 2 is 3. 1 minus 7, oops, gotta borrow. 9 becomes an 8. 1 becomes an 11. 11 minus 7 is 4. And last but not least, 8 minus 4 is 4 again. My answer is 4,436. Time for my favorite part of the lesson, word problems. So we've got a bar graph over here. Sorry, it's a little blurry. I tried to clean that up as much as possible, but this is the best that I could do. It is showing the attendance at a 3-day art festival. So on the first day, we have 2,570 people that show up. On the second day, 3,145. And on the third day, 3,876. The first question we're going to tackle is, what is the total attendance for the art festival? Total. Total tells me I am either adding or multiplying. I do not have equal groups here, so I need to use addition. And this time I'm going to be adding 3 numbers. So when I set up my problem, I still need to make sure that everything is lined up correctly and all my back numbers line up in position. Then I go ahead and start the adding process. 0 plus 5 plus 6 gives me 11. 1 down there, carry the 1 up there. 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 4 is 12, plus 7 is 19. Carry the 1 again. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 plus 8 is 15. Carry another 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 3 is 6. Plus 3 is 9. There are a total of 9,591 people at the art festival. Notice, if I can write correctly, that I am labeling my answer. I'm saying that that number represents how many people that are at the art festival. What I want you to take as a good rule of thumb is that if there are words in the question, there should be words in your answer. You have to tell me what the number actually represents. All right, same graphic, but let's look at a different question for the bar graph. This time, we want to know, what is the increase in attendance from day 1 to day 2? So here's my keyword, increase in attendance. A lot of you might see the word increase and think that we need to be adding, but if you really think about what it's asking that lovely question of how many more people were there on day 1 or on day 2 than there were on day 1. So this is actually a subtraction question. I'm going to take my day 2 number and I'm going to subtract my day 1 number. 3,145 minus 2,570. Again, notice that everything is really nicely lined up. And then I jump right into the subtraction. 5 minus 0 is 5. 4 minus 7, I have to borrow. The 1 becomes a 0. The 4 becomes a 14. 14 minus 7 is 7. 0 minus 5, can't do that one either, so I got to borrow again. 3 becomes a 2. 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. and 2 minus 2 gives me 0. Again, I don't have to write that 0. So the answer I get here is 575 people. Again, labeling my answer because I am doing a word problem. I've got words in my question. I should have words in my answer. All right, we are getting into the point where we're going to start wrapping up this lesson. So we're at the time where it's your turn to try and solve some problems for me. This time I do want you to solve these questions. So don't just figure out what you have to do. I want you to actually now practice doing it now that we've learned how to do some addition and subtraction. Again, please do it by hand. I know you all have a calculator, probably on your phone or just a regular calculator, but we want to make sure that we can actually do these things ourselves before we rely on the machinery to do them for us. So question 1, you missed 13 questions out of 89 on a test. How many questions did you get correct? First, determine what math you're going to use, then set up the problem, then solve the problem. Number 2, you are traveling 111 miles in an airplane, typo, from San Diego to Los Angeles. Then you will travel 225 miles from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. What is the total distance of your trip? Again, figure out the math, set up the math, solve the math. Make sure you are labeling your answers, and make sure when you're writing out your problems that you are lining up your numbers correctly. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Come back next time. I'll have a new video posted soon so you can get the answers to those word problems, and then we'll spend a little time focusing on multiplying and dividing of whole numbers before we move on to the next topic. Have a great day, everyone. I had fun with you again. I hope you learned a lot. And I hope you're not all just relying on a calculator. And this is an awful picture. Sorry. Just trying to make it fun. Bye.